understand why I did it. We had a very similar conversation to the one you and I just had.
Did you leave thinking that they believed you, or did you leave thinking they still had concerns?
Well, I don't have any reason to believe they don't believe me. And so I feel like they asked the right questions, and I can't imagine there'll be any more on it.
Joining us now is Wes Rumbaugh. He's a fellow in the Missile Defense Project at the Center for Strategic and International Studies here in Washington. Good to have you on, Wes. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me.
So first, let's begin with the reality here. Is the technology there to defend an area as big as the United States, and the President mentioned Canada as well, from not just missiles, but they're talking about hypersonic weapons, and other missiles such as cruise missiles? Is it possible?
I mean, so technologically what you're talking about, I mean, the United States and countries around the globe field defenses against cruise missiles every day. Ukraine fields defenses against cruise missiles and against limited ballistic missiles as well. The technologies that are more challenging here are the space-based interceptor technologies that Donald Trump talked about and harkened back to the Strategic Defense Initiative introduced by Ronald Reagan. Now, obviously, there's been significant technological advancement since the 1980s in terms of reduction in cost in space launch and miniaturization of important technologies like electronics and other capabilities. So it is more technically feasible now than it was then. The biggest challenge here is simply the scale, talking about defending against all different types of missiles that require different types of defenses for each of those systems.
The president gave a 3-year timeline. I mean, that runs counter to even what U.S. military officials are saying about many more years. Is that workable to have something, even in the best case scenario, something in place by the end of his term?
I would call that an exceptionally ambitious timeline. I think that it's more likely a reflection of maybe an initial operating capability or some small demonstrator element inside of the next 3 years. But the cost that he's talking about, $175 billion, is sort of towards the low end of what the Congressional Budget Office estimated of what the 20-year cost of just the space-based interceptor component of this project would be.
CNN's Jeremy Diamond has more now from Tel Aviv.
Well, the United Nations says 100 aid trucks were approved by Israel for entry into Gaza. We know, of course, that this comes after Israel allowed just 5 aid trucks into the Gaza Strip yesterday, following this decision from the Israeli Security Cabinet to allow a basic and minimal amount of aid into Gaza to prevent all-out famine from engulfing the Gaza Strip. The question now really is how much aid is going to get in, and for how long will Israel Israel continue to allow at least some aid to be brought into the Gaza Strip, because humanitarian aid officials have made clear that the amount of aid that's gotten in so far represents just a drop in the bucket of the enormous need that currently exists in Gaza, and stemming the hunger crisis that is currently taking over the Gaza Strip will require sustained aid to continue to make it into Gaza, according to the United Nations. Now, as this is happening, Israel is indeed continuing to escalate this expanded military offensive in the Gaza Strip. Since Thursday, more than 500 people have actually been killed in Gaza by Israeli air and artillery strikes. The ground offensive that has been promised doesn't seem to have materialized in a very significant way, although we do know that tens of thousands of Israeli troops are mobilized in Gaza in order to carry out that offensive. And it's already bringing a lot of pressure, international pressure, onto Israel. France, the United Kingdom, and Canada all threatening to take concrete actions against Israel if they do not cease this expanded military offensive, which they call a wholly disproportionate escalation. The United Kingdom has already taken some steps, suspending negotiations with the Israeli government on a new trade agreement, also calling up Israel's ambassador to the United Kingdom to discuss this matter further. The Israeli Prime Minister rejecting this criticism from countries that are traditionally considered allies of Israel. The real question, though, is what kind of pressure will the United States bring to bear? We know that they are working to try and bring about a new ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas, but so far no concrete signs of any real progress on that matter. Jeremy Diamond, CNN, Tel Aviv.
Well, Home Depot says it will not raise prices on most items despite Donald Trump's tariffs. Still, it says the price of select items will go up and other items will no longer be sold. The company reported earnings earlier. Its executives say it's trying to keep costs competitive as plunging consumer sentiment weighs on sales. Shares were down after the announcement. Well, Nathaniel Meyerson is following the story and joins us now. Good to see you, Nathaniel. So just give us a sense of Home Depot's earnings report, its forecast, and what it's saying about tariffs.
So it's actually really surprising what Home Depot is saying, because you've had so many companies that are saying the tariffs are really going to hurt them. But Home Depot is saying that it can manage the tariffs and that prices are not generally going to rise. Now, Home Depot is saying this because it's able to source about half of its merchandise from the United States, and Home Depot has reduced its reliance on China the past several years. So it's not entirely exposed to China and other imports, and so that's how Home Depot is saying that it's going to be able to manage tariffs. And look, Home Depot is the largest home improvement retailer in the U.S., so it has the size and scale to drive prices down, and actually thinks it could be an opportunity right now to gain market share against smaller competitors that are going to be forced to raise prices. Now, Home Depot also said that it may have to cut some products if they just get too expensive from tariffs, but the consumer impact here may be more muted than other retailers.
It's interesting, though, Nathaniel, when you compare what Home Depot is saying to Walmart, which is arguably the biggest retailer in the world. Why the contrast?
Very notable that just days after Walmart said that higher tariffs are going to mean higher prices, and Walmart was very outspoken about how even Walmart, the world's largest retailer, is going to have an impact from tariffs. Very notable that Home Depot is kind of taking a step back here and tiptoeing around tariffs. Now, we don't know exactly why Home Depot is doing it, but of course, Donald Trump, the president, attacked Walmart, went after them for raising prices because of tariffs, said that Walmart should eat the costs. So it does beg the question of whether Home Depot is worried about kind of getting blowback from the president, and how are other companies going to navigate messaging around prices and messaging around price strategy over tariffs. We have Target's reporting earnings tomorrow. Going to be really interesting to see how they talk about tariffs and how other companies, knowing that Trump's Truth Social posts may hang over all of this.
Hope was born from the belief that no story is ever small, that in the tapestry of human experience, every thread holds the weight of the whole. In a world that often tries to divide us, literature remains one of the lost sacred spaces where we can live inside each other's minds, if only for a few pages.
That was author Banu Mushtaq speaking after she was awarded the International Booker Prize for Heartlamp, a collection of short stories. The award celebrates achievements in translated fiction, and Heartlamp is the first ever book written in Kannada language to win the prize. In the book, Mushtaq writes about the lives of women and girls in patriarchal communities in southern India. She shares the award and the prize money with translator Deepa Bashti. I'd like to now bring in Will Evans. He is the founder and CEO of Deep Vellum, the largest publisher of translated literature in the U.S. They also have a bookstore in Dallas, Texas. Will, it is great to talk to you. Let's first talk about the winning work, Heartlamp by Banu Mushtaq and translated by Deepa Bashti. It is a collection of 12 stories that highlight, there you go, the experiences of girls and women in southern India. What stands out to you about this book, and what about it do you think clearly resonated with the judges?
I think that Heartlamp is an inspired choice by the judges. I want to commend the jury who helped select this book, and I want to commend the publisher and Other Stories who have done extraordinary work for years, bringing in languages like Kannada. This is the first book ever to win this award, translated from the Kannada language of southern India. It's an extraordinary testament to the vision of independent publishing, with storytelling that is bold and innovative in showing us a part of the world that we don't often get to see, bringing us into connection from a country far away like India to the UK to readers in the US. It's an extraordinary book. It's written with great human universality, and it's the kind of stories that really remind us all of what the power of literature is and what it can do. And it's really, this book is an inspired choice for it being a short story collection. And that's the first time this award has ever gone to a story collection. And when you read them in total, you're able to see a composite picture of what the world is like, rather than the novel form, which has dominated this award and many of the awards for years. It's really something really powerful to award it to short fiction, too.
Yeah, many firsts with this selection. I watched the award ceremony, Will, and Max Porter, who is the chair of the judges, said this: translated literature is a way of communicating over a border, under a wall, beyond an algorithm's reach. And he said, in these books, we search for and find news of the human elsewhere. I found that to be quite poetic. How do you see literature as a tool for amplifying marginalized voices? Obviously, in this case, through stories that address issues like gender inequality, religious oppression, the caste system.
Literature is one of the great universal art forms. It's been a part of the human condition ever since humans created their language millennia ago, and it's something really beautiful to see. Literature and translation is it offers the opportunity to take what is foreign and to bring it to us and to bring us to the foreign in a true dialogue. Literature and translation, thanks to great translators like Deepa, it's an amazing opportunity to get to tear down the walls of misunderstanding, to get to meet the other, to humanize, and to really celebrate these beautiful differences that make us who we are as a part of one big world. It's everything about dialogue. It's what brings us together through literature. It's what inspires us at Deep Vellum. It's what inspires publishers like And Other Stories. And Max, of course, said it better than any of us could. That's a testament to him as an extraordinary writer as well.
This is CNN. More people get their news from CNN than any other news source.
Secretary Kennedy, whose decision was it to withhold child care and development block grant funding?
Senator, I want to point out that in 2021, at the beginning of his administration, President Biden submitted his budget on May. You know what? You made an accusation of me, and I'm going to answer it.
Okay, I appreciate
on May
that.
28th, he submitted his budget. So our budget. We're a new administration.
Okay, you can. Go
and I also want to point
out. I have just 2 minutes left. I asked you a specific.
I want to point out something, Senator. You presided here, I think, for 32 years. You presided over the destruction of the health of the American people.
Well,
our people are now the sickest people in the world.
Seriously,
because you have not done your job.
Seriously. That is an
what have you done about it? What have you done about the epidemic of chronic disease?
Mr. Secretary,
what have you done about the epidemic of chronic disease?
Seriously, Madam
Secretary,
Chairman.
I would ask you to hold back and let the senator ask the questions.
Mr. Secretary, I'm asking you a question about child care. I'm asking you who made the decision to withhold child care and development block grant funding.
That was made by my department.
Elon Musk says he's taking a step back from political spending. The Tesla CEO was asked at the Qatar Economic Forum about his plans.
In terms of political spending, I'm going to do a lot less in the future.
And why is that?
I think I've done enough.
Is it because of blowback?
Well, if I see a reason to do political spending in the future, I will do it. I do not currently see a reason.
Well, Musk spent more than $290 million to help Donald Trump and other congressional candidates get elected last year. He then led the Trump administration's so-called Department of Government Efficiency. But the billionaire failed to get Wisconsin voters to back his pick for the state's Supreme Court, despite spending $20 million on that race. Well, Hadass Gold is following the story and joins us from New York. Good to see you. So he's the world's richest man, but he's stepping back from government and announcing that he's going to cut back his political spending. Why now?
It's pretty stunning to hear Elon Musk say this because, as you noted, the amount of money that he spent to get President Trump and other Republicans elected, spending money in Wisconsin. And he often talked about how he really viewed these elections as saving humanity's future, as how it was so necessary for our survival as a species to get these people elected. And now he's saying, I don't really see a reason to continue my political spending. And I don't think that's because he thinks that the work is done and everything is just fine. And a lot of Republicans are probably hearing what Elon Musk is saying, and they're getting very worried because what about the midterm elections? There is a slim Republican majority in Congress right now. Things could easily change, easily flip. Now, it is completely possible that Elon Musk will still be involved behind the scenes, and we're just not going to see him on stage brandishing a chainsaw like we have seen him up until now, essentially. But also, I think you have to look into what else is happening around him. As you noted, he supported that judge in Wisconsin. That candidate failed. And also, Tesla is having its own issues. We've seen its sales and its stock prices diminishing as Elon Musk has been so closely associated with Tesla. Tesla's been so closely associated with Elon Musk. And then when you look at Elon Musk's own approval and disapproval ratings, and you can see where there has been quite a drastic change in just a few months. In February of 2025, his disapproval rating was at 49%. In just a couple months, it pops up to 57%, and his approval rating has not gone up significantly at all. I do think it's notable, though, that even despite his comments today that he is stepping back from politics, he doesn't see a reason to spend more money in it, he did leave the door a little bit open, and he did himself say that he is still going to Washington. As he has said, he's going to spend 1 to 2 days working on issues with DOGE. And he said in that interview that he's going to Washington this week to have dinner with President Trump. He's going to be meeting with cabinet secretaries as well. So he's still obviously going to be involved in politics, but perhaps we won't see him spending the same amount of money until there's another candidate or until there's another issue that he gets really passionate about.
Breaking news, President Trump speaking out about former President Biden's prostate cancer diagnosis.
It's very sad, actually. I'm surprised that it wasn't, the public wasn't notified a long time ago, because to get to stage 9, that's a long time. I think somebody's going to have to speak to his doctor, if it's the same, or even if it's 2 separate doctors. Why wasn't the cognitive ability, why wasn't that discussed? And I think the doctor said he's just fine, and it's turned out that's not so. It's very dangerous.
This came as even a doctor who advised Biden during COVID is raising questions today about how long Biden has had cancer.
It has been growing for years. It didn't just pop up in the last few days or the last few weeks or the last 200 days.
Out front now, Dr. Michael Morris. He is the head of prostate cancer treatment and research at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, of course, known to all as one of the world's top cancer hospitals. So, Dr. Morris, I just want to try to understand this because obviously the story has taken a life of its own. That, you know, President Trump is saying, well, why? He's actually saying, why did they not tell us, as if they already knew? But they're, you know, you heard doctor there saying that the cancer would have been there a long time. There's all these things that are out there. But in terms, I guess let's just start with the screening, because people are assuming he would have been screened regularly, and it makes sense then that they would have known this was there, because now it's at stage 9, and so then there might have been a cover-up or something. But you say it's not that simple.
It isn't. And first, thanks so much for having me on. I think it's really important for everyone to understand a lot more about prostate cancer before we go along this road too far. So screening is appropriate for most men. The frequency of screening and when to start screening, that's all going to be a shared decision between a physician or a provider and the patient. But generally speaking, we don't continue screening ad infinitum. In prostate cancer, for the general population, a general risk, screening recommendations are right now that screening essentially end at the age of 70. So it shouldn't. He's obviously
80s.
well over that.
Yes. So he would not have been regularly screened. And even with his son having had brain cancer, would that have put him in a different category where likely to be screened, or no?
No, really not a relationship between those two. There certainly are family risks and also prostate cancer specific risks. Let's say you have an elevated PSA while you are being screened. Those are circumstances where you might screen for a longer period of time, but those are special circumstances. In general, for most men, it'll end at 70.
So when, you know, oncologist Zeke Emanuel, who advised Biden during COVID, he raised the point, you know, he just said he does believe that he likely had cancer while he was in the White House, because I don't know if he was necessarily making the link, but Trump made the link the way that most of us might see it, which is, gosh, if you're already at stage 9, this didn't happen in the past few days, you know.
Right.
But again, you say this could have developed really quickly.
So let's just walk one step back. First, there is no stage 9. He has a Gleason 9 prostate cancer, but there are only 4 stages, and he has metastatic disease, which is stage 4. But the Gleason score is a scoring system which allows us to know how aggressive the disease is, and it's a 10-point score.
So it's very aggressive.
So it's an aggressive cancer. But the second thing to remember is that prostate cancer is a very diverse disease. Most men who are diagnosed with prostate cancer, it won't be that aggressive disease. And for most men, prostate cancer is indeed part of the aging process. There are many men walking around with prostate cancer, fully functional, just going about their business. They may not even know that they have a diagnosis, or they may have prostate cancer that's not life-threatening.
So is it possible that he could have something with this Gleason score, as he is now, and not have had cancer while he was president?
It's well possible. We just don't know how long any individual's cancer took to turn into cancer. You know, there's no way for us to really look back at that.
So then, you know, cartoonist Scott Adams, he is the Dilbert comic strip man. He also announced today he has prostate cancer, spread to his bones like Biden's. He says he likely only has weeks or months left to live. And I think that, and that's obviously very tragic for him to be facing that. But for many people looking at this, obviously the context of all the talk about Biden's mental acuity is front and center, but also the reality that he could be president of the United States right now, a few months into a term, looking at a death sentence in a few months. And that's very unsettling to people. Is that the case? Is that what this outlook would look like for him?
Not for most men who have newly diagnosed metastatic disease.
Even at a Gleason 9?
Without a doubt. These are scary words and scary concepts. Having a high-grade prostate cancer, the word metastatic puts a certain amount of fear into everyone's heart. But prostate cancer is one of the most treatable cancers that there is. Hormonal therapy, which is the initial therapy for most prostate cancers, is 90% effective in patients. And
even with in the bones
absolutely.
Gleason 9.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And the duration of response just of the first line therapy can last years.
Yeah.
So this is not, for most men, a death sentence. This is something that one can live with, be effectively treated, and have a pretty complete life with. Well, I'm not saying that duration is the same for all men,
right?
But in terms of treatability, this is not an immediate.
Well, I think this is really important, and the context and what you're putting on it, just giving this, additional way of looking at it is very important. And Dr. Morris, I so much appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you.
A Lifetime Achievement Award for Rod Stewart. He'll be honored at this year's American Music Awards for his remarkable career. Stewart is also set to perform on the AMAs for the first time since 2004. The 2025 American Music Awards take place Monday in Las Vegas.
Keep going. Okay.
Elle Fanning is joining the Hunger Games franchise. She's set to appear in Hunger Games: Sunrise on the Reaping as Effie Trinket, the character played by Elizabeth Banks in the original films. The movie is due in theaters November 20th, 2026.
When the need for certainty is absolute and the odds are deemed impossible, the mission falls to him.
Tom Cruise's castmates say there's no such thing as a mission impossible to the series producer and star, even shooting the franchise's final 2 films amid the COVID pandemic and multiple Hollywood strikes.
He's not negatively affected by obstacles and challenges. He keeps forging ahead, and he keeps focusing on the long game of producing a movie that we can all be proud of.
Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is in theaters Friday. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniels.
Growth is the essence of life. So at First Bank, we continually develop innovative tools to help nurture our customers' finances. With all financial solutions, we have been inspiring growth by helping businesses flourish for over 130 years, investing in people, their projects, and their communities for the economic benefits of all. You first. First Bank.
This is CNN. More people get their news from CNN than any other news source.
Sources tell CNN Israel may be considering a major move that could propel the Middle East into a broader war. CNN's chief U.S. security analyst Jim Sciutto has details.
Myself and my colleagues Katie Bolilis and Natasha Bertrand have new reporting tonight that the U.S. has obtained new intelligence suggesting that Israel is making preparations to strike Iranian nuclear facilities. These officials caution it is not clear Israeli leaders have made a final decision, and there is deep disagreement within the U.S. government about the likelihood of such an attack. However, this new U.S. intelligence assessment is based on both intercepted Israeli communications and on Israeli military activity, and that activity includes the movement of air munitions and the completion of an air exercise. One person familiar with the U.S. intelligence told us, quote, "The chance of an Israeli strike on an Iranian nuclear facility has gone up significantly in recent months, and the prospect of a Trump-negotiated U.S.-Iran deal that does not remove all of Iran's uranium makes the chance of a strike more likely." An Israeli source told me that if the U.S. were to make what this source described as a bad deal, Israel may very well decide to strike Iran on its own. And that's a key dynamic here, that the U.S. and Israel might be at odds on a potential outcome of President Trump's negotiations with Iran. And now, as we noted, new U.S. intelligence indicates that Israel is at least making preparations for military action. Jim Sciutto, CNN, Washington.
Sports lead now. Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles have a signature play, and it could change forever, all because one team, Green Bay Packers, reportedly made a revised proposal ahead of the NFL owners meeting, which is taking place today and tomorrow. Now, part of the Packers agenda and the NFL owners agenda, whether to change the rules of the tush push. That's this short, basically 1-yardage sneak play to get the runner or quarterback into the end zone. Former NFL wide receiver Dante Stallworth joins me now. Dante, okay, look, this feels like the Packers being whiny babies. And it also feels like a punishment against the Eagles for using a play that no other team has been able to consistently recreate, other than perhaps the Buffalo Bills. And for the teams that can't stop it, looking at you, Commanders, maybe become a better team. That's my admittedly biased interpretation. How do you view it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you look at the documentation of the NFL's own internal internal data of the tush push play, and there's been zero injury rate associated with this play. So for me as a player, as a former player, that's probably the only reason why I would want to play banned, is if the injury rate raises or is higher for a specific play. There is no injury rate that is due to this play. And also, I think you don't want to punish a team for having a strategic, innovative advantage that they've been able to do to create play that they can't, other teams can't stop. They've been able to be successful with it for a long time.
I see. Just to be full disclosure, I had no idea what your opinion was going to be. They could have booked you, and you could have been against the tush push. Yeah. But it doesn't surprise me because you're a man of reason and you're a man of wisdom. Let's just to be fair. What do you hear from people who you know and respect, if there are any, who are against the play? What's their best argument?
I think I don't know if it's their best argument, but the only argument that I've heard is that it's akin to a 99% chance success rate, which the old extra points used to be when they were kicked from the 2-yard line. It was essentially a non-competitive play, but this is a competitive play. So there's no argument there. I think that you would ban a team or ban a play from a team that's been highly successful at it, and they've been highly successful because of innovative strategy. You don't want to stymie or stymie innovative strategy in the NFL. That's what NFL is all about.
So NFL owners did vote today to allow players to compete in flag football at the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. What do you think?
I love it. I've been a big fan since I was 7 years old. I played in the NFL for 10 years. This is something I've dreamed of for decades, being able to watch this game on an international stage and see players compete for a gold medal, for the United States. I think that would be really cool. And I know all the players want to play, but I think they're only allowing a total of 10 NFL players and one from each team. But I just look back to these kids growing up these days, this next generation of athletes, being able to see that on an international stage and growing the game internationally. I think it's a beautiful thing.
Is it possible to see top players such as Jalen Hurts from the Eagles or Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase drop a month or more of preparation for the upcoming NFL season to go all in on Olympic flag football? Could that happen?
I think so. And honestly, Jake, it actually times up well with the NFL season because it's only a few weeks before the NFL training camp starts. So those guys would actually have a head start in their training. So I don't see anything wrong with them timing-wise as far as them getting to the Olympics and actually playing in the games.
Would you come out of retirement to try to play flag football?
I would love to, but these hamstrings wouldn't hold up for more than 3 or 4 plays. But if they want 3 or 4 plays, I got them, Jake.
3 or 4 plays, and then the hammies get to take off the rest of the day. Dante, always great having you. Dante Stallworth, thank you so much.
a terrible mistake here by the authorities, but they are trying to make sense of it.
Yeah, absolutely, Max. And there's been a couple of major developments on this jailbreak in the last 24 hours. The first one, of course, what you just mentioned, the capture of the fourth fugitive. And the second one, the arrest of a man accused of helping the inmates to escape. We're learning new details as to why that man, an employee at the jail, might have decided to turn off the water to the cell from where the inmates escaped. He told investigators he was threatened. CNN has obtained a copy of Williams' affidavit for arrest warrant, where investigators say that Williams willfully and maliciously assisted with the escape of the 10 inmates. It also goes on to say that if the inmates removed the sink in the cell and disconnected the rest of the plumbing, with the water still on, the plan to escape, it says, would not have been successful and potentially flooded the cell, drawing attention to their actions. According to Louisiana Attorney General Liz Muriel, Williams was employed as a maintenance worker at the sheriff's office. Attorney General Muriel also said in a statement that Williams admitted to agents that one of the escapees advised them to turn the water off in the cell where the inmates escaped from. Instead of reporting the inmate, the statement says, Williams turned the water off as directed, allowing the inmates to carry out their scheme to successfully escape. Earlier today, Max, Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hudson, I should say, has said the investigation into the jailbreak is active and ongoing, adding that she takes full accountability for this failure. Let's take a listen.
There were procedural failures and missed notifications. But there were also intentional wrongdoings. This was a coordinated effort aided by individuals inside our own agency who made the choice to break the law. One arrest has been made, and we are continuing to pursue everyone involved, and that investigation is active and ongoing.
And Max, the arrest of the parish sheriff's office employee comes after a fourth inmate who escaped from the jail Friday was captured on Monday. That happened in the New Orleans East neighborhood. 21-year-old Gary C. Price was flown to a secure state facility, and according to officials, 200 local, state, and federal law enforcement personnel continue to work around the clock to locate the remaining fugitives. Max?
CNN has obtained exclusive drone footage and radio intercepts appearing to show Russian troops executing a group of Ukrainian soldiers, even though they had just surrendered. CNN's Nick Payton-Walsh has that story and will warn you some of the images in his report are graphic.
Before even this moment of surrender, the fate of these 6 Ukrainian troops was sealed. Ukrainian drone images from the southern front last November show the horror that comes after defeat. A Russian hiding in the bushes shoots one Ukrainian in the head. Ukrainian officials gave CNN intercepts of Russian radio orders from their commanders to their troops here. We can't verify them independently, but they help paint a chilling picture of what appear to be executions to order, of a plan to kill prisoners given from above. The Russian in the bushes seems to fit a mask and then emerge. He's joined by another Russian. They talk. There's no visible threat from their prisoners. And one captive Ukrainian seems to gesture at them. But nothing changes his fate, shot in the head, calmly. Another Ukrainian gets up, presumably the commander, and takes off his armor. But the voice on the radio is impatient. The commander is led away. In total, 6 times the order to kill was given, according to the intercepts. A forensic study for CNN, the files and audio, found no reason they weren't authentic, and a Western intelligence official described them to us as, quote, credible. We've geolocated the footage of the killing to this tree line just outside of Novodarivka in Zaporizhia region, where fierce fighting raged late last year. Ukrainian prosecutors say the executions of surrendering Ukrainian troops by Russians are increasing. They say they opened 8 cases in all of 2023, 39 for all of last year, and in just the first 4 months of this year, 20.
It's a well-coordinated and well-planned policy. And execution of prisoners of war, as well as other war crimes which have been committed in Ukraine, I think that goes up to the President of Russian Federation, who, for example, when it was the example of Kursk area, when he conducted like a military meeting or something, and when he said that we should treat them as terrorists, and everyone knows how Putin treats people who they call terrorists, so it's almost synonym for us to execute.
The UN Special Rapporteur on extrajudicial killing told CNN the executions would not happen in such numbers and frequency without orders, or at the very least consent, from highest military commanders, which in Russia means the presidency. Another video supplied to CNN by a Western intelligence official shows a similar scene, also from Zaporizhia. Ukrainians are surrounded and surrendering to Russians with red tape on their helmets. But two others join them, white tape on their helmets. They appear to use their radios. And then a white helmet opens fire. As the smoke clears, a red reloads his weapon and shoots another Ukrainian in the head. There's no radio intercept here, but a Western intelligence official told CNN the order to kill likely came from the white to the red. Killings aimed at hitting Ukrainian morale, but also, cynically, just at easing Russian logistics. This affects the morale and psychological state of our guys, he says. We have facts when the Russian military and political leadership directly gave verbal instructions not to take prisoners and to shoot those captured on the spot because it complicates military logistics from their point of view. A stark window into Moscow's mindset. Surrender means nothing, and mercy is not an option. Nick Payton-Walsh, CNN, Kiev, Ukraine.
We are back in the French capital for Change Now, the World Expo of solutions for the planet, where innovators, business leaders and policymakers all show they can talk the talk. But can they turn that positivity into real-world impact? In the auspicious surroundings of the Grand Palais, Change Now has become a destination for big industry players to show off their green credentials. And an opportunity to hear from some of the most influential voices in the environmental movement.
We really designed Change Now as a place to create this conversation. The thing started at the moment of the COP21, 10 years ago, and I was there as a visitor, and I got inspired by the great goals we had of 1.5, below 2 degrees, and there was a missing part of this. There were governments and there were civil society, but we needed to really gather all the entrepreneurs, all the business players, the economic world, the private sector, to be here and be part of this transition.
It's now a decade since the Paris Accord was signed by nearly every country recognized by the United Nations. And for Lawrence Tubiana, CEO of the European Climate Foundation and a key architect of that deal, it's a time to reflect.
Whenever I see the film of The Last Moment, and the moment of joy, explosion of joy, that everybody shouting, dancing up, because this finally has been done, it was an extraordinary moment. I think the emotion is still there 10 years after. And it gives courage to say, okay, it's difficult, there is a lot of doubts, backtracking in some places, but this enormous amount of hope that was generated by the fact that so many countries decided to go beyond their narrow national interest to be there for humanity.
Well, we're 10 years on. How much progress do you think has been made?
So, again, always frustration because we should be much further. But you see, the technological green revolution is there. It's inevitable now. You have seen the cost of solar and batteries diminished by 80 to 90%. I didn't believe at COP21 we'll see this extraordinary increase of electric vehicles all over. We could not expect that so clearly. Now there are more than 100 countries that have a net zero plan, and that was, I think, the success of Paris. But Again, we started very late, so we have to accelerate the path.
One company certainly looking to accelerate its path towards net zero is the French car maker Renault. As consumers, we all know that buying an electric car is a key way to reduce emissions. But for the car makers, it's also looking at how you can reduce emissions in the way that you make the car. This is the Emblem, a new concept car that